Hi everybody, it's Melanie with the Prepared Household, and I wanted to talk to you about something I saw yesterday. I saw it on Facebook. I think I saw a YouTube video about it. Some scientists at the University of California in San Francisco have done some research, and they feel like sugar is toxic and needs to be taxed and controlled. So the question being, should sugar be regulated like alcohol and tobacco? Now, when I first read this, my first gut reaction was like, why do we need Big Brother in yet another aspect of our lives? But after reading this and doing a little research of my own, my opinions kind of changed a little bit. Let me explain that. First of all, I went and Googled how sugar is made. And this is from the big site of Amazing Facts. You can go check it out for yourself. But I won't bore you with the details. But sugar cane and sugar beets, of course, is what most of our sugar comes from. And at one point in the process of both, chemicals are added. Here we have the liquid, now a dark greenish color, is heated to its boiling point, and chemicals are added to remove impurities. Okay, and then on down just a little bit, after we get raw sugar, this is there. It is dissolved, treated with chemicals, filtered, crystallized once more, and allowed to solidify, this time into pure white sugar. Chemicals are added at 2 points during the process of making it from sugar cane. I don't know what chemicals, but chemicals of any kind doesn't need to be introduced into food. Now, here is where the beet sugar is processed. The beets are sliced and soaked with chemicals to form a sugary syrup. Now, again, chemicals. So that can't be good. I've always heard that white refined sugar is not good for us anyway. It's also, that article is also in the San Francisco Chronicle, and you can read that online. But just wanted to briefly tell you a little bit about what they talked about in the article. And a lot of people may not be aware of this, but extra sugar in the blood turns to fat. And I can't remember where I read that, but it was in one of these articles. Excessive sugar alters people's biochemistry, making them more vulnerable to metabolic conditions that lead to illness, while at the same time making people crave sweets even more. It says it's sugar, not obesity, that's the real health threat. 20% of obesity people have normal metabolisms and no ill effects resulting from their weight, while 40% of normal weight people have metabolic problems that can lead to diabetes and heart disease. They contend that sugar consumption is the cause. Now, I wanted to address the craving. I know some people do not crave sweets. My husband's one of those who doesn't. I crave sweets, and I didn't realize it until I went off sweets one time trying to get my diabetes under control, and I've done it a couple of times. And I've done it using diet sodas or diet, foods. It must be more of a brain thing than a chemical reaction in the body, because I can trick myself into thinking I'm consuming sugar with the diet. However, the diet products are not good, because they have an effect on my heart. I know that sounds crazy, but when I use them, it feels like my heart is just so sluggish and so slow that I've cut the diet stuff out, which threw me back into the sweet. But I'm just going to have to try to, get over my cravings. It's an addiction. I know it is. And once I get through the craving period, which is like 2 or 3 days, I'm fine. I don't need sugar. I don't look at something sweet and crave it. I can make it through once the addiction's gone after 2 or 3 days. I'm good. And I can't even take the tiniest taste of anything sweet. It'll knock me right back into it. So, knowing this and learning about the chemistry of how sugar is made, it's kind of eye-opening. Now, one of the reasons why I say I kind of thought, maybe sugar should be regulated is because it's in, and of course I know I shouldn't be eating processed foods, but then again, this is our society, and this is what I've been trained to do for years, and it's a slow process going back to the basics, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get out of the processed food into growing our own, making our own, back to healthy. And it's a slow process. We have to get there a little at a time. But I eat cornflakes, and I don't put sugar in them. I put bananas or some other fruit to naturally sweeten it for me. And I was looking at the label today, and of course, milled corn and sugar. Don't know if you can see that, but sugar is a second ingredient. I didn't realize it. I thought this was a sugar-free food. And Raisin Bran contains no high fructose corn syrup. So, that's gotta be good, right? Well, you look at the label. Again, don't know if you can see this, but whole grain wheat, raisins, wheat bran, sugar. Now, it is lower on the ingredients, which means it's not one of the higher ingredients, but still, it's in there, and it doesn't really have a place in there. Here's another one, shredded wheat and bran from Post. I looked at the ingredients. The ingredients are whole grain wheat and wheat bran, no sugar. So we have to be really careful if we're still in this processed food stage. We're still trying to get, out of that and into the more natural and healthy eating. We got to watch our labels for these chemicals that we don't need in our bodies. Well, there was a lot of things in this article that I really feel like that you should read. This is healthland.time.com, and it's the 2012, I don't know if you can read it, 0202, should sugar be regulated like alcohol and tobacco. Google this. Read this article. It will open your eyes. So, my thoughts on whether sugar should be regulated. I think that manufacturers should be held accountable for the sugar that they put in their products, the hidden sugars. And, I wanted to note this too. Alcohol, it gives, excessive sugar can alter metabolism, raise blood pressure, skew the signaling of hormones, and damage the liver. Outcomes that sound suspiciously similar to what happens after a person drinks too much alcohol. When you think about it, this actually makes a lot of sense. Alcohol, after all, is simply the distillation of sugar. Where does vodka come from? Sugar. This really opened my eyes up when I read it. And, especially, it talks about, it helps confirm that people tell you anecdotally that they crave sugar and have withdrawal symptoms when they stop eating it. You know, it's true. It is an addiction. So, yes, government should regulate it to the point where it's not put in all the foods that are manufactured, that it's, people understand this is addictive. I don't know. Come into my home and tell me, no, you're not going to eat that candy bar or whatever. No, the government has no business doing that. Put a tax on the candy bar to make it a little bit less appealing. Okay, I think I agree with that. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know what you think. And one more thing. Putting sugar in your food storage, I think that's going to be a choice that you have to make, that each of us have to make on an individual basis, because some of us aren't addicted to sugar. My husband isn't addicted to sugar. Needing a balance in our food storage, yes. But I've decided that I've got a little bit of refined white sugar in my storage. I don't think I'm going to put any more in. I'm not going to concentrate on that. I'm going to concentrate on products like honey and molasses and those natural sugars and dried fruits. Those things are what I'm going to concentrate on in my food storage, and I'm going to leave the chemically enhanced addictive white refined sugar out. Of course, that's a choice we all make on our own. You can make what choices you want, but I don't think this is a really good choice.